Today we are going to start with the topic causal research design. We have already discussed what is research design. Research design involves mainly two sort of design, that is exploratory research design and conclusive research design. The conclusive research design has further bifurcated into descriptive research and causal research. The descriptive research is further classified into cross-sectional design and longitudinal design. Till here we have done it. Today we are going to start with the topic causal research. Firstly, let's differentiate between exploratory and conclusive research. The main objective of exploratory research is to provide the insights and understanding of the research problem, while the objective of conclusive is to come with the specific conclusion by using hypotheses and examine relationships. Information needed is definitely only used in the method of exploratory, while in conclusively information needed is clearly defined. The research process is flexible and unstructured in the exploratory method. Rather than inconclusive, the research process is formal and structured. If we talk about exploratory research method, sample is small and non-representative, but in conclusive method, sample is large and representative. The data analysis is used in this particular type is qualitative in nature, while the data used in the conclusive is quantitative in nature. It is very tentative. We are not sure about any results regarding exploratory because we want to explore some new ideas. But if we talk about the conclusive method, we actually came to some conclusion. The outcome of exploratory method is generally followed by further more research that may be indicated by exploratory and conclusive research. Finding which are based from the conclusive method is used as decision making input. Now let's say what is differentiation between explanation, descriptive and causal method. The causal method is basically related with where you want to see the cause and effect of the among the variables. So the explanatory method is where you actually discover the ideas and insights. In descriptive method, you actually describe the characteristic of functions, and where you see the cause and effect, that is causal relationship. The exploratory method is very much flexible in nature. In descriptive method, that is marked by the prior formulation of specific hypothesis, while in causal research method, manipulation of one or more independent variables can be occurred. If we talk about exploratory method, the front end of research design is versatile. The descriptive method is pre-planned and the structure is very well designed. And if we talk about causal relationship, there can be control of mediating variables. The methods which we used for exploratory are expert surveys, pilot surveys, case studies, secondary data, and qualitative research. While in descriptive, we use secondary data that is quantitative in nature, the surveys, panel studies, observational and other data. And for causal relationship, we only study experimental method, experiments in particular study. So the concept of causality, this concept basically is seen where we want to see X causes Y. If there is increase in X, there will be decrease in Y. Or if there will be decrease in X, there will also be decrease in Y. What is the cause behind this? For example, the very causal relationship is price and demand. If there is increase in price, the demand of the product will be decreased. This is basically causal relationship. So when a statement such as X causes Y will have the, when we are going to study this relationship, we are going to study the concept of the causality. In the ordinary meaning, it is simple, X is the only cause of Y. But if we go for the scientific meaning, X is only one of number of possible causes of Y. If we want to study scientifically, we want to check If there is changes in y, is x only one that is possible cause for the change? As per ordinary meaning, x must always lead to more. That means x is deterministic cause of y. And if we talk about scientific meaning, the occurrence of x makes the occurrence of y probable. X is probabilistic cause of y. So the last one is, it is possible to prove that x is a cause of y if we see about the ordinary meaning, and if we see the scientific meaning, we can prove that x is the cause of y at best, or we can infer that x is the cause of y. When we talk about the scientific study, we have to actually see some base for it. We have to calculate the results by using some statistical techniques so that we can come to some conclusion in that. The scientific meaning of causality is more appropriate to market research than is the ordinary meaning. Marketing effects are caused by multiple variables, and the relationship between cause and effects tend to be probabilistic in nature. So we can never prove causality. We can only come to a cause and effect relationship of among the variables. So in other words, we can say that it is possible that true causal relationship, if one exists, will not have been identified. The next is conditions for causality. Before making any causal inferences or assuming causality, there must be conditions that has to be fulfilled, that has to be satisfied. The first condition is concomitant variation. The second is time order of occurrence of variables. The third is elimination of other possible causal factors. These conditions are necessary but not sufficiently demonstrate causality. No one of these three conditions or all three conditions combined can demonstrate decisively that a causal relationship exists. It is not necessary that all of have actually caused the causal relationship, but still these conditions must have to be satisfied. Concomitant variation is the extent to which a cause X and Y an effect. It is basically we see the cause is X and the effect is on Y occur together or vary together in the way predicted by hypothesis under consideration. Look at this table. This is basically shown to you that the participants have been classified into high and low educational groups. See, there are two groups involved. The one who are very highly educated, the other one which are those who are not highly educated. This is on x-axis, and if we talk about y-axis, we want to see the purchase of fashion clothing. So we want to see the association among the variables, that purchase of fashion clothing and education. This particular table explained to that the participants have been classified as high and low educational group. This table suggests that purchase of fashion clothing is influenced by education level. Participants with high education are more likely to purchase the fashion clothing. See the percentage, 73% belong to high education level. From the both ends, from the x as well as y axis, the who actually purchase the fashion clothing, whereas only 64% of participants with the low education have a high purchase level. So this is based on, basically they have collected the sample of 1,000 participants here, and they what they have studied, the persons who have more education, that in 73% will go for purchase of fashion clothing more, and the participants who have low education, they are 64% in number, will not go for purchase of fashion clothing. Concomitant is basically where we see that whatever happened under hypothesis, we assume that in this particular table, we assume that education factor with high and the low factor. But in this particular table, we want to study that income and education impact on the purchase of fashion clothing. The first one belong to low income. The second table belong to high income. The table shows the relationship between the purchase of fashion clothing and education for different income segments. This is equivalent to the effect of income constant. So the sample has been split at the median to produce high and low income groups of equal size. The table shows that the difference in purchasing level of fashion clothing between high and low education participants has been reduced sharply. See in the first table, the person who have low income but high education, 61% are there who want to purchase the fashion clothing. And while in high income with the high education, 80% of the participants are willing to purchase the fashion clothing. So with the different hypothesis set, the result will also be varied with the different hypothesis. So the concomitant basically convey to you that the variation does not imply any causation because one more factor has been considered for the research problem. So the time order of the occurrence of variables provide additional insight into causality. This means either income or education does not impact the causal relationship because it has to be something else also. That means the time factor. This particular table convey to that, yeah, the table one might be have spurious result if you talk about high and the low income group. So the second condition is the time order of occurrence condition. It states that the causing event must occur either before or simultaneously with the effect. It cannot occur afterwards. This basically conveys to you that the time factor must be there, but it must be either before or simultaneously. Afterwards, you cannot consider the time factor. If there is happening of event, the event must ensure that the time of the event must be equivalent or before the that occurrence of that particular event. By definition, an effect cannot be produced by an event that occurs after the effect has taken place. It is possible, however, for each event in a relationship to be both a cause and effect of other event. In other words, a variable can be both a cause and an effect in the same causal relationship. To illustrate, customers who shop frequently in a particular supermarket are more likely to have loyalty card for the supermarket, or we can say the customers who have the loyalty card are likely to go more for shopping in the supermarket. So this basically states that you don't have to see the occurrence of after the occurrence of event. Basically an event can be cause or an effect for the research problem. As example, I have conveyed to you that the customer who regular shop in the supermarket will get the loyalty card, but it can also happen because a customer have loyalty card, that's why he prefer to go to supermarket. So it states both cause and effect in particular causal relationship. The next condition is absence of other possible causal factors. The absence of other possible causal factors means that the factor or variable being investigated should be the only possible causal explanation. The changes in all other factors affecting retention, pricing, advertising, promotional offers, product characteristics, competition, and so forth were held constant or were otherwise controlled. If we have seen the previous example in the previous table, we have particularly see what the education level with the fashion clothing. What about the price of the product? What about the advertisement campaign of the product? The promotional offers promoted by the companies, the features of the product. These have to be held constant by the researcher if he want to apply the particular relationship between two variables. So, in and after the fact examination of a situation, we can never confidently rule out all other causal factors. In contrast with experimental design, it is possible to control some of other causal factors. It is also possible to balance the effect of some of the uncontrolled variables so that only random variation resulting from these uncontrolled variables will be measured. Uses of causal research to understand which variables are the cause, that is independent variable, and which variable are the effect, that is dependent variable of the phenomena. The main use of causal research is that you want to see which variable is independent and which variable is dependent variable. To determine the nature of the relationship between the causal variables and effect to be predicted. Afterwards, we want to check the relationship among the causal variables and the effect that has to be predicted by these research problem. For example, if an increase in faculty education, will it improve the student results? So one must be the dependent variable, the other one must be the independent variable. The increase in faculty study will be the independent variable and the other one will be the dependent variable. The methods which we use, the use of causal research is experiment. That research requires researcher to collect data using experimental design. Basically, experiment is the method where you empirically investigate the hypothesis relationship between dependent variable and the manipulated independent variables. What you try to do here, let's see, I want to study the buying behavior of the consumers. I want to see which factors actually impacted the purchasing capacity of the consumer. For that purpose, what I do, I basically choose the variables like price, the price of the variables, the demand of particular variable, the saving habit of the consumers, the promotional capacities by the companies. I want to choose these variable as independent variable. What I do, some if I'm making a, just wait. Why being my buying capacity of the consumer and x, we have x equivalent x1, that is equivalent to price of a product, x2, that is income of consumers, x3 equivalent to promotional discounts by the company, discounts offered, x4 equivalent to buying capacity, x4 equivalent to mm, let's go for demand of the product. In basically causal relationship, what I do, if I want to go for some experiment, sometime I take y equivalent to x1 plus plus x2 plus x3 plus x4. This is my actually equation on which I want to check by considering all these factors about buying capacity of the consumer. What I do, if I am going to choose a method of experiment, I will control one of my variable. Let's suppose I want to control the last variable. I only consider first three variables. For next experiment, what I do, I want to choose only two variables. So these are experiments. When I try to look in the first equation, I have actually involved all the variables. In next equation, I control the last variable. In the last equation, I control the first and the fourth variable. This is basically the experiment method. I can go for the more equations like y equal to x1 plus x3, y equal to x2 plus x4. So when we are actually going for experiment method, we can choose any other way out to check the cause and effect among the variables. So experiment is basically concerned with when we control some variables, we actually manipulated what we do, demand, we actually manipulate the independent variable. While we are doing experiment method, we actually manipulate the independent variable to check the cause and effect on dependent variable. That is why it is called experimental method. Let's see what is independent variable. Independent variables are the variables or alternatives that are manipulated. That same example I have told you, that variables which you can control, which you can manipulate. So the variables which are manipulated and whose effects are measured and compared. For example, price levels. These variables, also known as treatments, may include package design, advertising themes. In the advertising creativity example, the independent variable was the text used to communicate a message that is more or less creative. So, independent variables are also known as treatment, which can be manipulated and controlled. The next is test unit. Test units are individuals, organization, or other entities whose response to the independent variables or treatment is being examined. Test unit may include consumers, stores, or geographical areas. Particularly, test units are those where we want to conduct our experiment. These might be individual, any company, any entity. It might be consumer, any store, any geographical location. So we actually done our experiment on these test units. Dependent variable. Dependent variable are the variable that measure the effect of independent variable on the test units. These variable may include sales, profits, and market share. In the advertising creativity, the dependent variable was measure of favorable attitude towards a brand being advertised. So dependent variable are those where we want to measure the effect of the independent variable, like sale. If price level is going down, whether it is impacting our sales or not, whether it is impacting our profit or not, or the market share. Extraneous variables. These all are the variables other than the independent variables that affect the response of test unit. These variables can confound the dependent variables, measure in a way that weakens or invalidates the result of experiment. For example, store size, store location, and competitive effort. So when we talk about these variables are basically what which weaken the dependent variable. These are other than the independent and the other independent variable. Experiment is the process of manipulating one or more independent variables and measuring their effect on one or more dependent variable while controlling the extraneous variable. So when you are performing the experiment, you actually want to see the manipulation among the independent variable, but you want to control the extraneous variable which actually weaken the dependent variable. Controlled variables, these are the variables which do not vary freely or systematically. You actually control these variables. These should not change as independent variable is manipulated. You cannot change these variables. These variables are controlled variables. Now, what is experimental design? An experimental design is a set of procedure specifying the test units and how these units are to divided into homogeneous subsamples. The first step you want to see which test unit you want to target and how you are going to breaking down these test units in the homogeneous subsamples. What independent variables or treatments are to be manipulated? Which independent variables you want to actually cover for your treatments, what dependent variables you want to measure, and how the extraneous variables are to be controlled. These variable has to be controlled because it actually weaken the dependent variable. Next, we are going to discuss what are symbols. Some symbols we are going to introduce in particularly causal research design to facilitate the discussion of extraneous variables and specific experimental design. We define a set of symbols first, which actually commonly used in marketing research. These are X, O, R. X is the exposure of a group to be an independent variable, treatment or event, that effects of which are to be determined. X is like basically if in equation I want to see the India's growth, that will be my Y and X will be my poverty, social status, educational status, equivalent. All these are the X of my independent variable. O, the process of observation or measurement of dependent variable on the test units or group of units. When I actually observe or measure the dependent variable on these units or the group of units, that process is called O. And R is basically random assignment of participants or groups to separate treatments. R, where you actually randomly assign the participant. You want to study some experiment, you randomly assign the participant or group so that you can quantify the separate treatments separately. In addition to this, the conventions are adopted Moving from left to right indicates movement through time. Horizontal alignment of symbols implies that all the symbols refer to specific treatment group, and vertical alignment of symbol implies that these symbols refer to activities or events that occur simultaneously. For example, the symbolic agreement. If it is X, O1, O2, that means a given group of participants was exposed to treatment variable first, that is X, and the response was measured at two different times, that is O1 and O2. It means X is my independent variable, O1 is my first time, and O2 is second time period. At these two different time periods, I have studied this particular X variable. Next, for example, Rx1 and O1, Rx2 and O2. It means two different group of participants, that is X1 and X2 were randomly assigned. R is randomly assignment. So Rx1 is randomly assigned to O1 period and Rx2 randomly assigned to O2 period. That means when you actually randomly assigned two different treatment groups at the same time and the dependent variables are measured in the two groups simultaneously, we are using symbolical arrangement. Next is validity and experimentation. We are actually doing some experiments, so it is very much compulsory. The data must be validated. The extent to which the conclusion drawn from an experiment must be true. It means we must have two goals. The first one is to draw valid conclusion about the effects of independent variables or the study group, or to make valid generalization to larger population of interest. We have two types of validity. The first one is internal validity and the second one is external validity. In internal validity, we refers to whether the manipulation of the independent variables or treatments actually cause the observed effects on the dependent variables. When you actually see the manipulation of the independent variable actually impact the dependent variable. Control of extraneous variable is a necessary condition. You actually control some outside variables in here to check the internal validity. So this basically identify your causal relationship. When you internally manipulate the independent variable, control the extraneous variable, that means you are conducting internal validity. If we talk about external validity, that refers to where cause and effect relationship found in the experiment can be generalized. In other words, we can say that the results be generalized beyond the experimental situation. If so, to what population, settings, times, independent variables, dependent variables can be projected? To what population, settings, time, independent variables, and independent variables can the results be projected? Extent to which cause or relationship found in the study can be expected to be true for the entire target population. That means for external study, you actually see the cause and effects of the experiment that can be generalized. When you do not manipulate the independent results, you want to see outside about that. For example, if the pizza restaurant tests customer preferences for new formulation of menu item in kitchen, can the effect measure in environment be generalized to pizza restaurant that may variety of other environments? That means if a pizza restaurant has opened a new menu, he wants to test, he wants to check the but new menu of the restaurant. So when he opt this picture, he is actually going for the external validity. Extraneous variables, the variables that experiment such do not measure or control, that may affect the dependent variables. You cannot measure it, you cannot control it. The next variable in this history. History does not refer to occurrence of events before the experiment. Rather, history refers to specific events that are external to the experiment that occur at the same time as the experiment. These events may affect the dependent variable. If we talk about the history, it is not occurrence, it is basically connected with the specific events that are external to the experiment only. Maturation. Maturation MA is similar to history except that it refers to changes in participants themselves. These changes are not caused by impact of independent variable or treatment but occur with the passage of time. For example, if we talk about that, some people don't want to answer my question. That means they have changed. The participants themselves have changed. Uh, there is no interruption by independent variable or any treatment. With passage of time, my participation history has been changed. In an experiment involving people, maturation takes place as people become older, more experienced, tired, bored, uninterested. Tracking and market studies that span several months are vulnerable to maturation since it is difficult to know how participants are changing over the time. This is a basically tough technique. Sometimes participants are not willing to participate in particular type of research. Testing effects. These are caused by the process of experimentation. These effects, these are the effects on the experiment by taking a measure on the dependent variable before and after the presentation of treatment. There are two types of testing effect. Basically, what is testing effect? When you actually see the effects that have been taken place on dependent variable before and after presentation of treatment. There are two types of testing effect. The first one is main testing effect. The second one is interactive testing effect. The main testing effects occur when a prior observation affect a later observation. The main testing effect is that the observation which is they have variety in nature, if that impacted it, that means there is main testing effect. And the interactive testing effect is where the prior measurements affect the participant respond to independent variable. We have to check the participant response, that means you are dealing with interactive testing effect. Instrumentation refers to changes in the measuring instrument, in the observer, or in the score themselves. Statistical regression effects occur when test units with extreme score move closer to the average score during the course of experiment. Selection bias refer to improper assignment of test unit to treatment condition. Morality refers to the loss of test units while experiment is in progress. Controlling extraneous variable. Extraneous variable represents alternative explanation of experimental results. They pose a serious threat to the internal and external validity of an experiment. These are actually threat for the experiment validity. Unless they are controlled, they affect the dependent variable, so they confound the results. That means it is also called as confounding variable. There are four ways to control these variables. The first one is randomization, the second is matching, the third is statistical control, and the fourth is design control. Randomization refers to the random assignment of test unit to experimental group. There must not be any biasness. You must randomly actually assign the experimental group to the random numbers. Treatment conditions are also randomly assigned to experimental groups. Matching involves comparing test units on a set of key background variables before assigning them to the variable conditions. Statistical control involves measuring the extraneous variable and adjusting for their effects through statistical analysis. Design control involves the use of experimental design to control specific extraneous variables.